can sync up, and then I can do a reading for you, a private reading. So the structure of a psychic reading. It's interesting because we may or may not necessarily have studied about how to do a reading. While we may be working for many years on developing our gifts and developing our skills and practicing and things like that, we may not have a defined structure on how to do a reading. And every client is different. So it's not like every reading is going to be the same, because every client, oh, Lorraine, well, this is going to be recorded, Lorraine, so you can just play later. So every client is different, so not necessarily every reading is going to be the same, but there's at least a couple of things that you can apply into every reading. I have here, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4 main points of a structure of a reading, and each one of them could really be a full class. So what I'm going to do is that I'm going to create mini videos of each one of the themes or the topics here, just so that you can have additional information. But in my opinion, my humble opinion, the first thing, of course, is getting the client, right? And getting the client and scheduling the client and figuring out the right time to for you and for your client to talk. So after you do all that, and I mentioned in other videos, and I'm going to mention it again. After you do all that, I highly recommend you, before you do all that, I highly recommend you that you do that connection through a scheduling service. There's a lot of services out there that you can use either for free or pay. So figure out what to use. I personally use something called Calendly. It cost me about, I think, $15 a month. And people go there and schedule their session, and it's linked into my Zoom account, which is the chat platform that I use for my readings. And then when people goes to Calendly, they pay their session. I only do sessions for people that prepays. I don't like talking about money when we're on the session. I don't like having to follow with the client to have to pay. I don't like my client trying to figure out how to pay during the session. So what I do is that in order for them to schedule a session with me, they have to go to Calendly. They have to click, schedule the session, and pay the session. And then when they pay the session, then they get a link. Well, that includes a calendar invitation with the details for the video chat. So the first point of a reading really is you just got to clear the air. You don't want to really be talking about money. So I recommend you, you can if you want, but I don't like to be talking about that. I like to be focused on the reading 100% of the time. So clear the energy of all that, take care of payment, take care of any monetary exchanges that you have defined, or take care of any energetic exchanges or sliding scale or bartering or whatever it is that you decided. And take care of that first. And then when that's set up, then you start your session without having to worry about the money. And what's the next step? So let's see that you send the information for the reading, and then the reading has the client has all the information. Hey, Steven, the client has all the information to start the video, and then is the time to give the reading. So you start your reading. Let's say today at 5 p.m., 6 p.m., 7 p.m., whatever time it is. I recommend that it really depends on how you do your readings. If your readings are in person or online, they have a little bit of a different situation each. But I recommend that you ensure as much as you can that you have space for the reading in your calendar, that you have time for the reading in your calendar, that you have the quietness that is necessary for the reading. Like, for example, I only do readings on Sundays every other week and Thursdays, and that's because I have a full-time job plus my family and a bunch of other things, and I know that I can block a couple of hours on Thursdays where nothing else is happening but readings. And then every other Sunday my husband takes my daughter somewhere, and then I have a little bit of time to do the readings, and then there's no interruptions. Like today, there's people in the house, there's noise, I typically don't do that. I typically just offer the readings where there's peace. So be sure that you have that, okay, before you start the reading. And then at the moment of starting the reading, it's very important that you create connection, with your clients, that you take the time to really connect. and to connect to your client and also connecting to their energy, connecting to their guides, because they typically show up on the readings, right? Connecting to their angels, archangels, ascended masters, into their high list, into their ancestors, and connecting to the energetic beings that come with your client, but also connect to your client. Before you start your tarot spread or your oracle cards or your channeling or your mediumship, spend some time really just connecting. Ask them how was their day, how are they doing, especially if this is the first time client. Like if we have some clients that have been coming over and over with us and then we know them, right? But there's some other clients that we don't know. So I highly recommend you, for the case of new clients, just to create some rapport, create some connection, but through connection. Not this kind of like, oh, how you doing? And really not meaning it, but actually taking the time to listen. And when you create that connection with your clients, a lot of them are really going to indicate you in those 3 to 5 minutes of connection, what is it that they need that day. Sometimes they don't even know, but they show up and then you create that connection, and that connection gives you a lot of information for the questions that are going to come in the reading. So it's about creating real connection, deep connection, and listening very carefully of what they have to say. So that's creating rapport and creating the connection. And really depending on your belief system, like I practice shamanism and curanderismo and a bunch of energy healing modalities. So by the time that I'm already talking to my client and that I am creating this connection, I already cleared the room. I already did space clearing in the room. I already did circle casting. Because in my case, or for me, it's very important that I ensure that the energy of the room is the right one. So I actually created another class for February 9 where you can go and join me, where I explain you how to do circle casting, how to create centers or vortexes of protection for when you have your readings. So anyhow, by the time that you're already creating the connection, or by the time that I create that connection, that already happened. The room has been clear already. I already had casted the circles of protection. I already had brought the ancestors of my client. I already had brought the guides. I already had brought anybody that needs to be there. And then the next step after the connection. Miriam, I typically don't. For your question is, are you supposed to connect to your guides before? I typically don't. I meet with their clients, with their guides and angels and ancestors the day of the session. I typically don't touch their cord of light before. I guess everybody's different. I really haven't heard of anybody doing that before. I also create a very specific and strict container of time. If the client bought 60 minutes of time, then my connection is only 60 minutes. That's like my exchange of energy. So I really don't go and touch before the session. So that's a great question, Miriam. Thank you. After I create the connection, I ask that question that I talked about in a video before. How can I support you? And this is, it's okay, Miriam. You feel free to ask anything you want. Please do. How can I support you? And this is a question that is actually from coaching. I learned this question back when I was in Vancouver, Canada, studying coaching many years ago. How can I support you? And if you go back and see that video, you see how this question really centers the attention on your client. And your client understands that the reading is for them. Sorry. And in that same video, I also talk about a different question, which is, which area of your life needs more support today? So depending on where the client is and if they have an idea what they want or not, you can either ask, how can I support you? Or which area of your life needs more support today, needs more clarity today, and then you elaborate from that. If they say, well, I don't know, go to the video, there's more details there. But if they say, I don't know, then there's like a series of questions that you can ask, just so that you can define what your client needs. Sorry, I need some water. And then after your client and you figured out what's the question, then the next thing is to deliver the reading. And everybody delivers a reading differently. Everybody has different gifts, right? So, for example, some of my readings are tarot readings. Some of my readings are oracle card readings. Some of my readings are mediumship because they their family or their ancestors or even other beings that they impacted somehow in their lives, they show up. And I used to structure my readings to either do one thing or the other, but I realized that for me that doesn't work. I just deliver a reading, and if the reading sometimes needs cards, I do the cards. I have like right here in my desk where I am, I have like 10 different sets, no, more than 10 sets of cards, some tarot cards, oracle cards, da 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 da. I also do channeling, so depending on when I'm talking to the client, I sometimes know if what they need is a channeling or if they just need to talk to an ancestor or whatever it is. So in my case, that's how I structure my readings. But if you're just delivering one type of psychic reading, that's fine. And then after you finish your reading, whatever it is that you have to tell them, right? Whatever is their question, you offer the clarity that you can based on the power of your readings, the strength of your readings. And then after you deliver the reading, it's very, very important that you deliver a summary. And sometimes it's hard because, you know, if you've been doing this for a while, you know that sometimes you're saying stuff and you don't even remember what you say because you're so connected to spirit that you kind of leave the body and connect into the higher realms and then just bring the information. But when I'm channeling, I still try to be taking notes of the things that I'm saying. I still try to, or if I have the cards, I have the spread of cards here so I can continue somehow remembering the story that the cards are telling me. And I always finish the reading with a summary. I deliver the reading and then I ensure that at least I touch 2 or 3 topics of the information that we discuss. And this is important because we live in this age and time of continuous stimulation. There's so much information all the time. And our attention is like 2 seconds, right? Like we basically just get so distracted so quick. So by delivering a summary, we will remind the client of the things that we mention in their session, and we'll let them go with that information in mind. Some readings are super deep. Some readings we receive a ton of information, so much that the clients go like, so much. So it's always good to bring them back into grounding a little bit with just 3 points. And when you're delivering those points, and there's another video out there on the page, so look for it, please, where I talk about delivering your messages from a positive place, from shifting it from negative to positive. So it's especially important that when you're delivering your summary, that you deliver your summary from a positive perspective, from a positive point of view, from a place of possibilities. So when you're closing your session, ensure that summary is positive. And I had a reading a couple of weeks ago with Rebecca, who's part of this group, and I like how she did a summary at the end of the reading. But she also gave me, after she finished her tarot reading, I like how she gave me a reading for a spirit animal guidance. She had a spirit animal tarot card set, and then she grabbed one card when she had finished all the tarot thing. She grabbed one card and she just showed me my spirit animal for the week, and then she talked about the spirit animal. And you know, the spirit animal brings a lot of information that is always positive or a lot of data that we need to know and have. So it was a nice way to close the reading too, with the summary plus that card. Hey Ashley, plus that card, that positive card that just gave me a positive message. I really liked it. So, and after I deliver the summary, and again, if you wanna benchmark Rebecca's way of doing the reading by also having like an extra card, maybe like I like the I actually have them here. I like this set. Sorry that I'm putting my face in the camera, but I really like the Denise Linn Oracle card set. And it has a lot of positive words on it, like success and inspiration and fulfillment and things like that. So that's one thing that you could do if you don't have Jen, if you don't have a set of spirit animals, but you have a set that has positive messages like wisdom, and then just tell a little bit about what wisdom meant to the client, and then you can close like that after the summary. And then after you deliver the summary, I recommend you that you ask for a review, like right there. Because if you deliver a good, I'm sure you're going to, if you deliver a good reading, then you have to ask in that moment when the client still remembers that the reading was good, you have to ask them for a review. And this is very important. Like, collect the reviews like crazy. Just have like a million of them. So collect the review. Thank the client for being there, for the time, for allowing you the possibility of talking to them and helping them and serving them. And then say, hey, if you like the service, if you like what I deliver, I would really appreciate if you will provide me a review. I will send you an email after this reading with a couple of questions that you can use to base your review. And I'm going to talk about that in another video about how I ask people to give me reviews. But be sure that you ask for a review right at the end of the session. And people tend to give reviews if you do that. I have had a couple of clients that they didn't do, but they typically do. And then some of those reviews are golden and some of them are not necessarily what you need at that time, but you can just choose and pick and choose the reviews that you want to keep, and then just advertise those reviews in your page or in your groups or in your website or anywhere you want to be sharing them. And then the last thing is, I recommend you that after 20 days that you do your review, 21 days, that you follow up. So I keep records of my clients. I keep date, time of the of the session, and I also keep the summary of the 3 points, like very briefly, very quickly, because that's like super confidential information. But I just keep like a few points, and then I follow up 21 days later, and I just check, hey, how you doing? What about this and that? How did it go? And then I ask the magic question: would you like me to schedule another reading for you? And because people is getting the attention, because people is getting the care and the follow-up, and because they see that you remember those 3 important things in the summary, they usually say yes. And they usually say, yes, please send me the link and I would love to schedule another reading or another session. So you send them a link, and then, the process, they go schedule, and then you see them again. And then again and again and again and again. And some clients do readings monthly. Some do it every 3 months. Some do it every 4 months. But at least you are reminding them when you're doing the summary, that the email and the summary, that you're there for them, and that you care, and that you keep them in mind, and that you do whatever you can to stay connected with them. Like, in a good way, I don't mean it just... Don't do it just because of scheduling another reading with them. Do it because you care about your clients, right? Because you will not be doing what you're doing if you didn't care. So that's it. I was going to demonstrate the entire process through doing a reading to someone, but it didn't work out, so that's fine. We improvise in life. That's the way that it goes. So thank you so much. Thank you so much for your time. I'm going to post in the page the steps that I have here, maybe with a little bit of explanation on what each one means, but at least I'm going to post the checklist so you can have that checklist. And feel free to use this checklist. If it serves you in any ways, please do it. And thank you so much for joining today. It was a pleasure to talk to you. And I send you a big hug anywhere in the world that you are. We're almost 140 in this group, which is fantastic. Please invite more people. Let them know that there's free resources for them to become a better reader, because I trust that when the people in the world, when they're working on their gifts, the world will be better. So thank you, and I'll send you some info for your reading, and thank you, everybody. Take care. Bye-bye.